Hi, I'm Jake, 32, and 2 months ago my sister slapped me across the face at an airport gate because I wouldn't give her my first-class seat to Hawaii. And that was somehow the least unhinged part of the story. Let me back up just enough to make sense without killing the momentum. I work as a petroleum engineer in West Texas. 12-hour shifts, dust in my teeth, weather that hates humans, and an office chair so squeaky it could double as a horror soundtrack. It's not glamorous, but it pays absurdly well, the kind of money where people ask, "Why don't you have a nicer truck?" And I answer with, "Because I enjoy owning mine." My sister, Vanessa, 28, professional influencer in her own head, chose a different path. Her life is a carefully curated montage of sunset photos, smoothie bowls she doesn't actually finish, and inspirational quotes about abundance posted from my parents' guest room. She calls it her studio. It's just the bedroom with her Lisa Frank stickers still on the dresser. My parents, Frank and Linda, are retired schoolteachers. Salt of the earth, survived decades of budget cuts and PDA warriors, and still somehow like people. They live modestly, they never splurge, and their idea of self-indulgence is buying name-brand cereal. So when I landed a massive project bonus last year, I decided to give them something they'd talked about for decades. A full week in Hawaii. I planned everything. Booked premium economy seats for them. Booked myself first class because I am 6 feet 3 inches, broad-shouldered, and coach feels like being folded into carry-on luggage. Picked a beachfront hotel. Made spreadsheets of activities because engineers show love through logistics. Then, and this is critical, I did not invite Vanessa. Not because I hate her. Because this was a gift for our parents. And because she has a long, vivid history of turning every single family event into a staged production starring herself. Of course, she found out anyway. Of course, she ambushed me at Sunday dinner. Of course, she walked into the kitchen, looked me dead in the soul, and said, "So obviously I'm coming to Hawaii." No hello. No. Is there room? Just a declaration, like she was a royal being informed the peasants had prepared her carriage. I told her, calmly, gently, borderline saintly, that this trip was for Mom and Dad, and she wasn't part of it. She reacted like I'd revoked her human rights. Within 60 seconds she had marched into the dining room, eyes shimmering with fake tragedy, and announced, "Jake says I'm not invited to the family trip." Mom gasped. Dad blinked like someone had rebooted him. And suddenly I was the villain for not including a grown woman who had not contributed a cent to this vacation. I gave in, because saying no to Vanessa usually comes with the emotional equivalent of a hurricane evacuation notice. I told her she could come if she paid her own airfare and expenses. I might as well have asked her to climb Everest using only a salad fork. She agreed anyway. Then completely forgot the pay your own way part until 48 hours before the trip. And that is how, at 5:47 a.m., I found myself listening to a frantic, whining monologue about how the only seats left were in the bad part of the plane, and how such seating was unacceptable for her brand. Her brand. Her brand that had earned her exactly $0. Her brand that could be destroyed by row 38. I told her, nicely, that it wasn't my problem. She told me I was sabotaging her career. I told her smoothies don't count as a career. She hung up. I assumed the crisis was over. Spoiler, it was not. Because the morning of the flight, at the airport gate, in front of 70 strangers, 2 gate agents, and 1 family of horrified toddlers, Vanessa made a decision. One that would change the entire trajectory of her life. One that would end in consequences she never saw coming. And it all started with 6 words. "You're giving me your seat, Jake." I swear airports have their own special kind of tension, like everyone is 2 delays away from committing tax fraud. But that morning? Vanessa walked in radiating the kind of chaos energy normally reserved for reality TV finales. She spotted us near security, dragging a suitcase approximately the size of a refrigerator, and already on the verge of tears. "There you are," she huffed, like we were the ones who'd been missing. I should have taken that as a warning. We hadn't even reached TSA before she insisted we talk privately. Privately meaning, in the middle of foot traffic, blocking an entire lane like a human road cone. It's about the seating, she said, gripping her phone like a hostage negotiation device. There is no situation to fix, I said. You booked late. You sit in coach. She blinked dramatically. You don't get it. My followers expect a certain standard. Your followers, I said, do not care what row you're in. My brand cares, she snapped. Ah, yes. Her brand. Her glorious empire of 8,000 followers and zero income. My dad, bless his gentle soul, even tried to help. Vanessa, honey, maybe you could just enjoy the flight without worrying him. She cut him off. Dad, I literally can't post photos from back there. The lighting is tragic. The gate agent behind us subtly choked on laughter. By the time we got through security, Vanessa's desperation had evolved into a full business pitch vibe. You're tall, she said, sprinting to keep up with us. But you're athletic. You can withstand one flight in coach. Withstand, I repeated. Vanessa, it's not a natural disaster. It's a seat. She wasn't listening. You'd be helping my career. Support, Jake. It's what families do. What families do, I said, is book their own flights when they say they will. She crossed her arms. So you won't give up the seat? No, I said. She tried again 20 minutes later at the gate. No. 10 minutes later. No. Then 5 minutes before boarding, she walked over with the expression of someone preparing to light a match near a gas leak. Jake, this is your last chance to help your sister. No. You're being selfish. No. I swear to God you always do this. Still no. Passengers were starting to look up from their phones now, the way people do when they sense an incoming train wreck. And Vanessa was spiraling. You don't care about me at all, she said, voice climbing in pitch. You think you're better because you have a job and money and a degree and whatever? This is about a chair, I said. This is about respect, she shrieked. No, I said. It's about you not planning and now expecting. Right then, the gate agent announced pre-boarding. I stood, grabbed my bag, and that was when Vanessa detonated. She lunged forward, raised her hand, and slapped me. Hard. Full palm. Full force. Full sound effect. That awful cracking smack that echoed through the terminal like someone had dropped a salmon on tile. Everything froze. My cheek was on fire. My glasses were crooked. A toddler gasped. A businessman muttered, Jesus Christ. Mom covered her mouth. Dad went pale. And Vanessa just stood there, chest heaving, revenge TikTok villain pose activated. He deserved it, she said, voice shaking. Airport security did not agree. 2 officers appeared out of thin air, like they got summoned by violent stupidity. Ma'am, one said, you need to step away. I can't miss this flight, she cried, real panic overtaking fake indignation. This is a family vacation. You assaulted a passenger, the officer said. You're not flying today. And that's when she truly realized. She had just ruined her own life. The begging began. The sobbing. The excuses. The classic Vanessa monologue about being misunderstood and spiritually fragile. But it didn't matter. They escorted her away while people stared like they just witnessed the season finale of a very trashy show. A gate agent approached me. Sir, would you like to press charges? I looked at my parents. At the frozen crowd. At Vanessa, still sputtering excuses as she disappeared down the hallway. And for the first time in my life, I didn't protect her. Yes, I said. I will. If you've never watched an entire airport gate collectively process drama, let me tell you, it's incredible. People were whispering like we just finished Act I of a Broadway show. Security escorted Vanessa down the terminal like she was a disgraced celebrity leaving rehab. Mom started crying. Dad looked like he aged 8 years in 30 seconds. And me? I just stood there, cheek burning, thinking. Well, that escalated. The gate agent handed me an incident tablet. Standard procedure, she said. Assault in a terminal is a federal issue. Mom clutched my arm. Jake, maybe don't press charges. She's your sister. She's emotional. She slapped me, Mom. She's sensitive. She's violent. A security officer came back over. Sir, he said, she's claiming you provoked her. I blinked. Provoked her? How? She hasn't specified. Of course she hadn't. Dad cleared his throat. Quiet, steady. Press the charges, he said. Mom looked at him like he just voted to evict their child. Frank. No, he said gently but firmly. This was too far. I signed the report. The officer nodded, satisfied. Thank you, sir. We'll update you. And just like that, Vanessa's trip to Hawaii was officially cancelled. By airport security, by her actions, and by me. Boarding began. I waited for my parents. They hesitated like we were choosing which of our children to leave behind. Dad finally took Mom's hand. We're going, he said. Enough is enough. Mom cried quietly through the first hour of the flight. I could see her from the aisle, dabbing her eyes with a napkin, staring at the clouds like they'd personally offended her. But by hour 2 she was looking at the guidebook again. By hour 3 she was pointing out beaches she wanted to visit. By hour 5 she was laughing at something Dad said. Vanessa would have never allowed any of that peace, happiness, or my parents enjoying something not centered around her. When the wheels touched down in Maui, something inside me shifted. For the first time in decades, I felt genuinely free. No manufactured emergencies. No emotional blackmail. No walking on eggshells to keep Vanessa from detonating. Just sun, ocean breeze, and my parents holding hands like teenagers. But while the trip was perfect, the snorkeling, the beaches, the food, the sunsets, real life was simmering back home. Because Vanessa? Oh, she didn't go quietly. She posted. And cried. And lied. She spun the whole situation into a tragic influencer saga about a toxic brother abandoning her in a mental health crisis. Her followers ate it up. My work email started filling with hate messages. Mom begged me to just talk to your sister. Dad asked whether I'd reconsider the charges. Meanwhile, Vanessa was emailing me hourly, swinging wildly between. You ruined my life. You should be ashamed. I'm suing you. My lawyer says you're abusive. I need you to fix this. We're family. You owe me. I ignored every message. Then I received something from airport security. The surveillance footage. Multiple angles. Clear as day. Vanessa screaming. Vanessa escalating. Vanessa slapping me so hard my glasses nearly achieved liftoff. And suddenly? I saw the turning point clearly. For 28 years, Vanessa had never faced a single real consequence. That ended today. And I hadn't even begun to reveal the truth. Because if Vanessa wanted to play public, I was about to play public too. Vanessa underestimated one crucial thing. If you lie publicly, and there's video evidence, the truth doesn't just come out. It explodes. Because after 3 days of snorkeling, sunsets, and my parents looking happier than I'd seen them in years, I opened my messages. And there they were. Hundreds of angry DMs from strangers repeating Vanessa's story like it was gospel. Your poor sister. How dare you abandon her? Violence? Over a seat? You should be in jail. Imagine hitting a woman. They were accusing me of assault. Me. The guy with the sting mark still on his cheek. I stared at the screen, forehead slowly lowering into full. I'm too old for this mode. My parents were napping in their room. I was sitting on the hotel lanai with a view of the Pacific so pretty it hurt. and I thought, okay, enough. So I uploaded the airport surveillance footage. No editing. No commentary. No dramatic narrator voice. Just the raw video. Vanessa screaming. Vanessa towering over me. Vanessa escalating in front of a whole terminal. Vanessa pulling her hand back. Then slapping me so hard even the gate agent flinched. And I wrote one caption. For clarification. I was assaulted for refusing to give up my first-class seat. Here's the actual footage. Then I turned my phone off. And went to eat shrimp tacos with my parents. When I checked my phone the next morning. Chaos. The good kind. Vanessa's comments section had turned into a wildfire with a chair shortage. Her followers, the same ones who'd been sending me hate, now demanded explanations. Why did you lie? This is abuse. You hit your brother? Content? Over family? Girl, seek therapy. Unfollowed. Her follower count dropped like a rock tossed off a bridge. Brands she tagged issued polite. We are not affiliated with this individual. Statements. Someone reposted the slap in slow motion set to opera music. Someone else made a meme titled, When Row 38 Ruins Your Career. The boutique she worked at. They saw the video. She was fired by the end of the week. But Vanessa tried one more move, the influencer death rattle. A tearful storytime video filmed in her childhood bedroom. Jake is taking everything out of context. He emotionally provoked me. He's always been jealous of my creativity. I'm going through a mental health crisis. I need support, not punishment. But the comments weren't having it. You slapped him. That's not a crisis, that's assault. Girl, accountability is free. Apologize. Then the final dagger comment. Your brother was on a family trip he paid for. You wanted a first-class seat for selfies. After that? Vanessa disappeared from social media entirely. Deleted half her posts. Turned comments off. Went offline like someone unplugged her at the wall. But while the internet was roasting marshmallows over her meltdown, my parents were quietly unraveling back home. Mom kept calling. Honey, please, you're humiliating your sister. She humiliated herself. Dad tried the reasonable route. She's scared, Jake. She could lose jobs, friends, followers. She hit me, Dad. He sighed. That's true. But then he said the line parents always reach for when they're desperate. She's still your sister. Let me be clear. I have forgiven a lot. The time she drained my savings account at 18? Forgave. The time she used my credit card, by accident, for 2 months straight? Forgave. The years she turned every family gathering into the Vanessa show? Forgave. But hitting me in public because I wouldn't downgrade myself for her brand? No. This was the point where the entire family system cracked open. Because for once someone me said, she doesn't get to escape consequences. Not this time. The assault charge went forward. She tried to fight it. Failed. Ended up with probation, fines, community service. And a ban from several airlines. Meanwhile, I was sipping pineapple juice on a beach, watching my parents fall back in love with life. But the real turning point, the one none of us saw coming, was still ahead. And it arrived the moment we flew home. When my dad knocked on my hotel door at sunrise, sat beside me on the balcony, and said the sentence I'd waited 20 years to hear. The morning of day 7, the last full day in Hawaii, I heard a knock on my hotel door. Not the frantic, Vanessa is spiraling. Knock. Not the, Mom needs help choosing an outfit. Knock. A quiet, steady knock. I opened the door to find my dad standing there, already wearing his Hawaiian shirt and holding 2 coffees. Got a minute? He asked. We sat on the balcony overlooking the Pacific. The sky was turning gold. Surfers dotted the water like punctuation marks in a sentence I couldn't quite read. Dad didn't speak at first, which was unusual. He's a talker, a teacher by trade and by temperament. Silence is not his default. Finally, he took a long, slow breath. Your mother and I have been talking, he said. About Vanessa. I nodded, bracing. And about you. That part surprised me. He rubbed his palms on his shorts, a habit he had when he was about to say something heavy. We didn't raise you two the same, he said. And that wasn't fair. I turned toward him, trying not to show how hard that sentence hit. We held you to higher standards, he continued, because you were capable, mature, steady. We knew you'd figure things out. He paused. And we gave Vanessa excuses instead of expectations. Because it felt easier at the time. There it was. The truth I'd lived under for decades but had never heard spoken. My throat tightened. I'm sorry, Dad said quietly. For all the times we expected you to be the adult, while treating her like a child. He looked out at the water, eyes wet in the corners. And I'm sorry we let her get away with things that would have had your mother and me chewing you out for a month. I didn't speak. I couldn't. He took another breath. You were right not to drop the charges. Hearing that from him? It felt like the earth shifted. Dad wasn't a consequence guy. He was a talk it out over potato salad guy. But now, he nodded with conviction. She needs this wake-up call, he said. If we keep protecting her, she'll never grow up. Maybe this is the moment she finally learns. I leaned forward, elbows on knees. Dad, do you actually believe she'll learn from this? He let out a soft, tired laugh. I think she might. And if she doesn't, well, that's not on you anymore. Not on me. For the first time in my life. He clapped a hand on my shoulder, firm, fatherly, grounding. You've carried too much for too long, son. It's time we carried some of it. We sat there in silence, watching waves hit the shoreline. For once, it wasn't heavy silence. It was healing. And when we flew home, I felt different. Lighter. Freer. But Vanessa? Vanessa was waiting on the other end like a storm with mascara. Because while we were in paradise, she'd been busy turning the internet into her personal courtroom. And she was about to learn what happens when you try to rewrite reality while the receipts are on camera. Coming home after a week in paradise is usually depressing. Stepping off the plane into a storm of Vanessa-created chaos? That was a whole new sport. My phone stayed off until we reached baggage claim. The moment I turned it on, it buzzed so violently it felt like it was trying to escape my hand. Hundreds, literally hundreds, of notifications. Missed calls. Texts. Voicemails. Instagram DMs from strangers with usernames like Crystal Heals Your Aura 22. And the tone of the messages? Not great. You're abusive. How dare you abandon your sister? Violence over a seat? Hope your parents are proud of the monster they raised. I blinked at my phone. Monster? Dad peered over my shoulder and whistled. Well, he said, looks like your sister's been busy. That was an understatement. While we'd been hiking through bamboo forests and eating poke bowls, Vanessa had launched a full-scale PR pity campaign. She posted crying videos. Long captions about family betrayal. Dramatic black and white selfies with her hand on her forehead like she'd fainted onto a chaise lounge. She claimed I'd abandoned her in a mental health emergency, thrown her out of a family vacation, physically intimidated her, laughed while she spiraled, destroyed her livelihood. She did not mention the slap, or the FBI-level crisp footage of her winding up like Serena Williams at the U.S. Open. Her followers, small but dedicated, rallied instantly, because nothing activates social media like a pretty girl crying into an iPhone. Meanwhile, my work email was getting flooded with complaints from people who legitimately believed I had attacked my sister in an airport. I stood there in baggage claim, jaw clenched, as message after message rolled in. Mom took one look at my phone and whispered, "Oh my God, she spun it." Dad muttered, "Unbelievable." Then came the final nail. A DM from an airline employee account. FYI, we're receiving harassment from your sister's followers trying to get you banned. I exhaled sharply. This wasn't just a misunderstanding anymore. Vanessa was actively rewriting the narrative. And people were believing her. Fine. If she wanted to make it public? We were doing public. I pulled up the airport video. The raw, unedited file. 3 angles. Crystal clear audio. No ambiguity. I uploaded it. Caption. For those asking, here's what actually happened. No commentary needed. And then? I put my phone away. We drove home. Dropped off luggage. Ate dinner. Went to bed. I didn't look at my phone again until the next morning. When I did, oh boy. My notifications looked like a digital crime scene. Vanessa's followers had turned on her instantly. Comments like, "You lied? You slapped your brother on camera? This is actually unhinged. Girl, seek help." Unfollowing. Brands she tagged issued statements distancing themselves faster than you can say. PR nightmare. Someone made a slow-mo edit of the slap set to the Lion King soundtrack. Someone else made a reaction meme of a cat recoiling as her hand came down. A third person used the footage for a TikTok about influencer entitlement speedruns. Vanessa's follower count was tanking in real time. She posted a video claiming the footage was taken out of context. Someone replied, "What context makes slapping your brother okay because he wouldn't give up his seat?" Silence. Then her boutique job, the part-time retail gig she bragged about like it was Vogue, fired her after customers sent them the footage. Her social media meltdown escalated into a full nuclear implosion. Meanwhile, Mom and Dad watched the entire thing unfold like people realizing their favorite soap opera couple just got exposed as cousins. Dad sighed. "Jake," he said, "she did this to herself." Mom nodded reluctantly. For once, she didn't defend Vanessa. Not even a little. Later that night, Vanessa finally messaged me. A wall of text. The emotional equivalent of a house fire. "How could you do this to me? You ruined my life. I have nothing now. You should have protected me. Take the video down." I read it once. Then twice. And I sent the only response I had left. "You slapped me. In public. Actions. Consequences." She didn't reply. For the first time in my life, Vanessa had nothing left to throw at me. But the fallout wasn't finished. Because in the weeks that followed, my parents and I would discover just how deep the damage ran. And how much of it had been silently poisoning our family for years. If you've ever watched a slow-motion disaster, you know there's a moment, the click, where everything shifts from, "This is bad," to, "This is about to change everything." For us, that moment happened 3 days after we got home. Vanessa had gone completely quiet. No posts. No stories. No dramatic messages typed through tears. Just silence. Which, in Vanessa terms, is equivalent to a missing persons report. Mom and Dad came over for dinner. We were halfway through plates of baked salmon when Dad cleared his throat. "Your mother and I want to talk," he said. This was never a good opener. Mom's eyes were red. Not crying, but clearly thinking about crying. "We visited Vanessa today," she said. I set down my fork. "She's not doing well," Mom continued. "She's lost her job. She's losing followers. She says people online are harassing her." I didn't respond. "Jake," Mom whispered, "she's saying she can't get hired anywhere because employers Google her name and see the video." Dad gently rested his hand on Mom's arm. "We're not asking you to apologize," he said. "We're not asking you to forgive her completely. But we are asking if you would consider dropping the charges." I exhaled slowly. "Dad, she slapped me. In public." He nodded. "I know. Then lied about it." "I know. She turned the internet against me." Another nod. "She could have ruined my career. That's why we're not defending her," he said softly. "She went too far. We know that. We're not excusing it. He looked older than he had a week ago. But she is your sister, he said. And a criminal record that follows someone forever. For a moment, the room felt too small. Too tight. Too full of history I'd never voiced out loud. And then something slipped out, something raw and unpolished. What was this concern when I was drowning? I asked quietly. Mom froze. Dad frowned. Jake. No, I said. Hear me. I leaned back in my chair, hands shaking just slightly. For 28 years you treated her like glass and treated me like steel. I was the fixer. The adult. The responsible one. Mom opened her mouth. I raised a hand. When she stole from me? You said she was finding herself? When she failed out of college? You said she was discovering her path. When she drained my savings at 18 because she forgot her PIN code and used mine? You said she didn't know better. Dad's brows knitted together. Jake, And when I was working 12-hour shifts in the desert just to stay afloat. Did anyone check if I was okay? I asked. Silence answered. Mom stared down at the table, tears pooling. Dad looked away, jaw tight. I'm not dropping the charges, I said softly. Because this isn't about a slap. It's about a lifetime of her doing whatever she wants because she believed she'd never face consequences. Mom finally spoke, voice cracking. We didn't mean to make you feel alone. You didn't mean to, I said. But you did. Dad inhaled deeply. We should have been better parents to you, he said. And better parents to her. He swallowed. You deserved support too. For once, Mom nodded. I'm so sorry, Jake. And that almost knocked the air out of me. Real apology. Not a guilt trip in disguise. Then Dad straightened, decision firming in his shoulders. Vanessa needs consequences, he said. Because maybe this is the only thing that will finally force her to grow up. He looked me in the eye. We're behind you. All the way. And for the first time in years, their words felt true. But Vanessa? Yeah, she wasn't done. 3 days later, I got an unexpected message. From someone who wasn't her. Her roommate. It simply said, Jake, you need to come. She's hit rock bottom. And I think you're the only one she'll listen to. Spoiler. I was not the only one she'd listen to. But I was the first one who told her the truth she'd run from her whole life. I wasn't planning to go. Truly. When her roommate texted, I almost deleted the message. I was tired. Tired of fixing things. Tired of being dragged back into chaos. Tired of being the responsible one because no one else ever stepped up. But then I remembered something Dad said on the balcony in Maui. Maybe this will finally be the wake-up call she needs. Not a rescue. A reality check. So I went. Her roommate, Maya, met me at the door of a tiny 2-bedroom apartment in Phoenix. The place smelled like stale wine and lavender candles. The irony wasn't lost on me. She's been in her room for 2 days, Maya whispered. She hasn't eaten. She's not talking to anyone. I think she's embarrassed. Really embarrassed. Embarrassed was new for Vanessa. So was consequence. I knocked on her door. Vanessa. Silence. It's Jake. Still nothing. I tried the handle. It wasn't locked. She was curled up on the bed, knees to her chest, hair a tangled mess. She looked nothing like the polished influencer she pretended to be online. No ring lights. No filters. Just reality. She didn't look up when I sat down in the chair across from her. Why are you here? She muttered. Your roommate said you needed someone to talk to. A bitter laugh escaped her. Talk to? You ruined my life. I exhaled, slowly. No, Vanessa. You ruined your life. I just didn't hide it for you. Her jaw clenched, eyes staring at the wall. You didn't have to post that video, she whispered. You didn't have to hit me, I replied. Her face crumpled, but she didn't look at me. I've lost everything, she said in a shaking voice. My job, my followers, my reputation. Brands are blacklisting me. Employers Google my name and see the video. I'm toxic. For once, reality was louder than her denial. You're not toxic, I said. But your behavior was. She finally looked at me. So now what? She asked. Her voice was tiny, scared, even. I leaned forward. Now you start over. Without shortcuts, without lies, without mom and dad shielding you, without me funding the fallout. She swallowed hard. It's not that easy. No, I agreed. It's not. But that's what adulthood is. You don't get to manipulate your way out of consequences forever. She wiped her eyes with the sleeve of a hoodie I was 100% sure she'd borrowed and never returned. Do you hate me? She whispered. I didn't answer right away. Did I? No. But I didn't trust her. Not yet. I don't hate you, I said finally. But I don't trust you either. That's something you have to rebuild. She nodded slowly. Almost imperceptibly. I'm sorry, she said, and this time it wasn't performative. I know that doesn't fix anything. But I am. I believed her. Not enough to forget. But enough to accept that maybe, this was the beginning of her becoming a real adult. I'm not dropping the charges, I added gently. They're part of the consequences. But when you've served them, you'll get a clean slate. She didn't argue. Another first. Okay, she whispered. I get it. We sat there in silence for a minute. Not hostile. Just quiet. Mom and Dad want to see you, I said finally. She grimaced. I know. They're not going to baby you this time. Another grimace. I know. Good, I said, standing. Then you're already further than you were 2 weeks ago. As I walked to the door, she called after me. Jake? I turned. Do you think I can come back from this? I thought about everything she'd done. The entitlement. The manipulation. The slap at the airport. The public meltdown. The lies online. Then I thought about her sitting there, stripped of all the fake polish. Just a flawed 28-year-old finally facing the truth. Yes, I said. But only if you want to be someone different than the person who hit me for a first-class seat. For the first time since we were kids, she smiled without bravado. Small. Fragile. Human. Then I'll try, she said. I nodded. That's all I needed to hear. 2 months later, she sent a text, short, simple. I finished my community service today. Can we start over? Not erase. Not pretend it never happened. Just start over. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed back. 1 step at a time. No promises. No rescues. No pretending things were fine before they were. Just a beginning. And for the first time in our adult lives, a beginning we both actually earned.